Happy Monday, scholars. Today we're going to do a project that is kind of focused on texture rubbings, and so I'm going to show you the things that you need for that. This, like every project that I'm trying to do for this video for the most part, for this distance teaching on video, is kind of open to interpretation with what materials you have that you want to use. I'm going to show you what I have and what I'm using. You don't need to have everything I have, though. I'm doing a lot of different things to give you guys a lot of different ideas, but just use what you have. If you need inspiration for your project, the resource that I recommend that I'm going to put on the resources page is a reading of Eric Carle's book, Mr. Seahorse. And it is a great book, and there's lots of fish in it, and it's going to give you ideas for what we're going to do today, because we are going to do a project with fish, and I'll show you guys how to do that.
Here's what I'm going to use today. I have aluminum foil. I'm going to do two types of fish. I'm going to do some fish on normal white paper, and I'm going to use crayons or oil pastels to do the texture rubbing. And then I also have aluminum foil. If you want to use aluminum foil, you have to use permanent markers because nothing else is going to stick on the aluminum foil. So I have colored Sharpies over here to do that. You need to have a texture. This, you guys, I got from the grocery store. So this is like the stuff that holds, this had clementines in it, you know, the little mini oranges. So like lots of different fruit will come in these bags. So if you have one of those, you can just cut a piece of it. If you don't have one of those, you can look around your house for another type of texture. You could use stuff from outside and lay it on the table and do texture rubbings over that. Really anything can be a texture, so you can be really creative with it. For my background, because I'm going to be making and cutting fish out of these two things, but I need to actually glue them onto something. So for my background, I decided that it would be pretty fun to use this paper bag that I just cut a piece out of. I have so many of these, and I need to start using them and being creative because I have so many, because I always forget my takeaway bags. So I'm going to start using them to make art projects with. And yeah, and I have scissors. So one thing I don't have that I'm going to need is glue, but I'll just go grab that. So these are kind of the different things that you can work with, and now I'm going to show you guys how to do the project. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I need to, because I'm watercoloring my background, I need to do that part first so that it is dry by the time I'm ready to put all of my different details on it. And if you want to, I know a lot of you have done watercolor and crayons or oil pastels before, and they're a great thing to do together because I can watercolor right over my oil pastels, and it's not going to cover up the oil pastels because water and oil can't mix. And so anywhere where you have water on top of the oil, the water is going to bead and it's not going to soak into the paper. So we call that a resist, when something keeps the water from going into paper. Actually, I'm going to make like a coral type thing with some orange, because I got to make my habitat for my fish, so that they can be happy and healthy with lots of food and coral to eat and places to live. Let's see, do I have some? I'm going to mix some red with this. And let's do, I'm going to do like a brain coral. I'm just going to put this in. In the ocean, there's this coral called brain coral, and that's probably not its real name, but they call it brain coral because it has all these squigglies in it. So it kind of like looks like a brain. Okay, so there's my plants for my ecosystem. Well, my habitat, which is a part of the ecosystem. And I'm even gonna do kind of like some squiggles in the water. Remember when we do like curvy lines, what that creates to the eye of the viewer of our art project is movement. So if I have squiggly lines in the middle of my paper like this, what the viewer thinks when they look at those squiggles is they feel like the water is moving there. So it's kind of like a magic way to create a current in your picture. All right, so now I'm ready to paint. I'm gonna time lapse the painting part because I'm basically just gonna do a wash of blues over this. Set this aside to dry. Because the paper bag is wet now, it looks a lot darker, and I think when it dries the blue is gonna come back a lot more, but I don't actually know for sure, and we're just gonna have to find out. And if we knew for sure what was gonna happen, art wouldn't be as fun. So now I'm going to do the this part, the aluminum foil. So if you have aluminum foil at home that you can use a little piece of, that would be so cool. Because I had you guys read Mr. Seahorse, I'm gonna do a seahorse on my aluminum foil, and then I'm gonna do my fish out of paper. So I'm just gonna draw like a little seahorse head. I'm trying to think, maybe I should have looked up what a seahorse looks like. Let's see, they don't really have ears, right? And they have like a little curly tail. All right, there's my seahorse. He's gonna have a little, here's his little fin on his back. They kind of look like dragons. Maybe mine just looks like a dragon. I'm gonna make his tail more round. Okay, so then you can kind of take some time decorating your seahorse. And I want you guys to take a lot of time, but because I'm teaching, and I don't want this video to be a million years long, I am going to do mine so fast. Let's see, let's change colors. So you could do patterns on yours, you could do decorations, you could do lots of different colors. Let's give him a purple eye. Give him some stripes. Okay, I feel like he needs something around his head, so I'm gonna give him like a little, there we go. That makes him look a little bit cooler. All right, so once you're done drawing your sea creature, you're gonna cut it out. Cutting out aluminum foil is pretty tricky because it can tear, so just be careful. Go slowly so you don't go too fast and tear it. If yours does tear, you can also just keep going because we're gonna glue it onto the paper in the end, so we can just glue it together and pretend like it never tore. Okay. Oops. Now is the fun part, you guys. We're gonna do the texture. So I'm gonna lay him on to my textures. So you can pick whatever kind of texture you want. And then I'm just gonna rub my fingers, and you wanna try not let it move around, because you want that texture to match the texture underneath. And this actually might be really hard to see on the phone, but what it's doing is it's kind of making it look like he has fish scales. All right, so can you guys see that? That might be a little bit tricky to see. Maybe if I turn it in the light, you'll be able to tell. Okay, so now my seahorse is done, and the next thing I'm gonna do is my fish. So I'm gonna set this aside and do the fish next. All right, you guys. So I'm gonna do a couple fish really fast, just to show you guys how I'm gonna do the fish with the oil pastel rubbings, and I'm just gonna make 2 fish really quick so that you can have an example. And the way that I'm gonna do it is I'm gonna draw my fish first with Sharpie. So there's one, and then I'm going to do the designs with the oil pastel. Okay, I don't know what kind of fish this is. Let's see if we can save him. I think I kind of wanted to make like a little puffer fish. They're so cute. They have really big eyes, like this. And they're all spotted. Okay, so here's my fish. Oh, definitely needs a little fin or else it's not going to swim anywhere. And now I'm going to take my texture again, and this time I'm going to put it underneath my fish, and I'm going to do a rubbing. And we're probably going to do more rubbings in the future, so get excited. So to do the rubbing, you just have to have your oil pastel be sideways. And then you kind of just color it in. Oh, you know what, you guys? This might work better with crayons. If you have crayons and oil pastel, use crayons. Because the oil pastel is a little bit too... the oil pastel kind of blends. That's why oil pastels are in a lot of ways better to use than crayons, is because they blend. But in this case, blending's not the best thing, because we just want it to be a rubbing. So if you have both, now is the time to use crayons. If you have oil pastels, you can just make it work the way that I'm kind of just making it work. So it has this, that spotted texture. If I were to do the same thing again, just like this, it's not really, oh wow, now it's picking up the texture of my table. Just kidding. Okay, anyway, you do a rubbing, you're gonna get a texture unless you have a really smooth surface. Let's see, I'm gonna do my puffer fish with the blue and purple. I wonder. Alrighty, and I'm going to cut these out, and I am going to glue them on my paper, and that is the last step, and then my project's going to be all done. So I'll show you guys when it's all finished. Okay, so the very last thing you have to do is, when you have all your pieces cut out, you can just arrange them on your background paper however you would like. Notice my seahorse is kind of big, so he's taking up more space than I want him to. I'm just going to give his tail a little trim so that I don't cover up so much of my coral, because I worked hard on that. So you can just arrange them and glue them down, and then you have your under the sea picture all finished and beautiful. All right, send me any pictures of things that you guys make. I can't wait to see them.